For today's top stories, let's go over to the CBN News Desk.
Gordon, the state of Arizona is mourning the loss of 19 elite firefighters. They died Sunday battling a wildfire near Prescott. Heather Sells has the story.
The firefighters were battling 6,000 acres of blazing brush northwest of Phoenix. Fed by gusty winds and triple-digit heat, the flames exploded out of control.
We're devastated. We just lost 19 of some of the finest people you'll ever meet. I mean, right now we're in crisis.
19 of the 20-member crew of the Granite Mountain Hotshots died, with the lone survivor in a separate location. Across the country, 110 hotshot crews are trained to hike into the wilderness and build lines of protection between people and fires. In this case, officials say the fast-moving blaze encircled the team, forcing all 19 to deploy fire-resistant shelters like this one.
When you have that much fuel and that dry conditions and those kind of wind conditions, it can become extremely unpredictable.
This fire was very radical in its behavior. That's what caused the deaths. It was the change in the radical behavior of the burning fuels. They were just caught up in a very bad situation.
In a statement, the governor noted it may be days or longer before an investigation reveals how this tragedy occurred. But the essence we already know in our hearts: fighting fires is dangerous work. The Arizona tragedy is the largest loss of firefighters battling a wildfire in 80 years. It's still blazing out of control in Yarnell, 80 miles northwest of Phoenix. It has consumed half the structures in town. Most people have evacuated. Heather Sells, CBN News.
And our prayers go out to those brave firefighters' families. Well, much of the Southwest continues to broil under a massive heat wave. An elderly man in Las Vegas was found dead in a home without air conditioning. And nearly 140 people have been hospitalized after falling victim to the brutal heat. Sizzling temperatures are spread from Boise, Idaho, all the way to Houston, Texas, where it reached 107 degrees. Death Valley, known as the hottest place on Earth, hit 128 degrees over the weekend. Las Vegas was a sweltering 117. At least a dozen runners passed out from the heat during a half marathon in Pasadena. The hot temperatures are expected to last through July 4th holiday. Well, lawmakers in Texas are back for the second round of a political battle over a proposed measure regulating abortion. The latest session comes less than a week after a Democratic filibuster and hundreds of angry protesters threw the end of the first session into chaos. The Republican majority has promised to pass the wide-ranging abortion bill this time around, even as opponents mobilize for more protests. Democratic Senator Wendy Davis led the opposition with a 12-hour filibuster. Texas Governor Rick Perry says Republicans need to match the intensity of the protesters, but with grace and civility. The president of the Family Research Council predicts that many Americans who are tolerant of same-sex marriage will be shocked to see how it cuts back on religious freedom. Tony Perkins says Christian business owners will increasingly face prosecution if they won't take part in gay weddings. And he says parents may soon find their children's public schools promoting the acceptance of same-sex marriage. Perkins appeared on CBS's Face the Nation. Well, 1 year after Egyptians elected Islamist Mohamed Morsi as their president, millions have taken to the streets to demand he leave office. The nationwide protests could set the stage for a potential civil war. Here's Chris Mitchell from Jerusalem.
Egyptians flooded their major cities with demands that Morsi step down.
I'm demanding that he step down from office and leave. I'm demanding the whole Muslim Brotherhood, to leave the country. We don't want them here.
Many Egyptians believe Morsi has put the agenda of the Muslim Brotherhood ahead of the country.
He just wants the Brotherhood to rule Egypt. He doesn't look after the Egyptian at all. We don't need him. We don't want him. He should leave.
The anti-Morsi fervor brought together secular Egyptians, moderate Muslims, and Christians. Meanwhile, smaller groups of pro-Morsi demonstrators also took to the streets.
The people hold the legitimacy, and we support Dr. Mohamed Morsi, and we would like to tell him not to be affected by the opponent's protests and not to give up his rights. We are here to support and protect him.
Morsi says he won't step down. His spokesman said he wants to talk with his opponents.
The president has called for dialogue. The president has previously said that he is reaching out to everyone and that he's ready to listen to serious national dialogue.
Yet Morsi opponents say he has pushed through unpopular constitutional amendments, assumed unprecedented powers, and failed to address Egypt's sinking economy. Magdi Halil from Coptic Solidarity told CBN's Christian World News that under Morsi, Christians have suffered increased persecution. He warns of a potential civil war.
It's a matter of time that Egypt will go to a civil war because Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamists only believe in power and violence. So they don't keep silent. They don't believe in peaceful demonstrations.
Egypt's army is watching the country's growing divide and have implied they might intervene. In the meantime, Egypt's future seems to hang in the balance. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
A Christian girl who was accused of blasphemy for burning Islam's holy book was forced to move to Canada from Pakistan because of security concerns. The case focused international attention on Pakistan's harsh blasphemy laws. Her lawyer says she left Pakistan with her parents, 3 sisters and a brother, on March 14th. The girl was arrested in August in Islamabad after a Muslim cleric accused her of burning the Quran. The cleric was later arrested for faking evidence, and the girl was acquitted. CBN International has distributed more than 11,000 wheelchairs since 2005. Recently, 518 chairs were distributed by CBN Indonesia. The aim of the project is to provide mobility to the physically disabled and improve their quality of life. CBN's health and medical outreach in Indonesia treats an average of 14,000 people each month. And you can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international.